One hungry man sat alone, holding his last dollar like it was gold, until a stranger asked him for help. And what he did next. Nobody could believe it. Under the big mango tree near the old bus stop, a tired homeless man named Okan sat on the ground with a torn mat, a rusty tin cup, and one single dollar in his hand. He hadn't eaten since the day before. His belly rumbled. His lips were dry. But in that moment, he smiled. Why? Because that $1 meant hope. Hope for a piece of bread. Hope for a bottle of water. Maybe even a banana from Mom and Ketchy's fruit stand if he begged well enough. Children passed him by, laughing and eating meat pies. Okan smiled at them, even though his heart was heavy. God will bless them, he whispered. At least they are happy. Then came a stranger, a young man, maybe 20 years old. He wore a dusty school uniform and carried a broken bag. His shoes were torn. His face was full of sweat, and his eyes looked like someone who had seen pain. He stood in front of Okan and said something that shook the old man to his bones. Sir, please, I need help. I'm hungry. I've not eaten since morning. Okan blinked. His hands slowly closed around the dollar. Was this a joke? The man asking for help was stronger than him, taller, younger, cleaner. He should be the one giving, not asking. But the young man's lips were shaking. His knees bent slowly, and he sat on the dusty floor beside Okan. I'm not a thief, he said quickly. I missed the scholarship bus. I walked 6 hours to get here, and now I'm stuck. Please, anything, even water. Okan looked at him for a long time. Then, without saying a word, he reached into his dirty trouser pocket and pulled out that last dollar. He placed it into the young man's hand. The boy stared at it like it was gold. His mouth opened, but no words came out. His eyes filled with tears. But, sir, you look like you need this more than I do. Okan smiled. I know, but maybe God wants me to help you today. The young man didn't stop crying. He held the dollar like it was sacred. Thank you. Then, I swear one day I will never forget this. He stood, wiped his face, and ran down the road. Okan leaned back and sighed. The hunger was still there. His belly still ached, but something inside him felt full. He whispered, God, I don't know who that boy is, but please, let him be okay. As the sun began to set and the street grew quieter, a black Jeep stopped beside the bus stop. The glass rolled down, and a man in a suit looked out. Are you Okan? The man asked. Okan looked up, surprised. Yes? The man opened the car door, stepped out, and handed him an envelope. Someone said you gave him your last dollar. He told us to find you, and this is for you. Okan opened the envelope with shaky hands. His eyes grew wide, his mouth opened. But before he could say a word, Okan's hands trembled. He hit the brown envelope as if it would bite him. For a moment, he couldn't even breathe. His heart was beating fast, like a drum inside his chest. The man in the suit watched him silently. His black shoes were shiny, his tie was neat. He looked like someone important, but right now he just stood there, waiting. Okan slowly opened the envelope. His eyes went wide. Money! Plenty of it. Neatly packed notes, clean, fresh, smelling like a bank. Okan touched the first note, unsure if it was real. Tears filled his eyes. He looked up, confused. Please, he said with a shaking voice, what is all this? Who gave you this money? The man in the suit smiled. Do you remember a young man, maybe 20, who came to you this afternoon and asked for help? Okan nodded slowly. Yes, he looked hungry. I gave him my last dollar. The man nodded back. That boy is my boss. Okan blinked. Your what? Yes, the man said. He's the owner of the biggest youth tech company in the city. His name is Daniel Kalu, but he doesn't like pride. Sometimes he walks the streets dressed like a poor man. He says he wants to know how people treat strangers with nothing. Okan's mouth was open now. So, he's rich? Very rich, the man replied. And when he got to the office today, the first thing he did was tell me to find you. Okan looked at the money again. All this because I gave him $1? The man knelt beside him. Sir, it wasn't just $1. You gave him hope. You gave when you had nothing. You gave from your heart, and he said, any man who gives his last should never lack again. That's why I'm here. Okan's lips trembled. He wiped his face quickly, trying not to cry like a child. But I don't even have a bank account. I live here. On this street. The man smiled. Not anymore. He stood and pointed to the car. Sir, please come with me. You'll sleep in a hotel tonight. Tomorrow, we'll take you to a new house. You'll have food, clothes, everything you need. My boss also wants to offer you a small job in his foundation, helping feed other homeless people like you. Okan still couldn't believe what he was hearing. He stood up slowly, holding the envelope like a treasure. All the people who had passed him before, those who ignored him, those who looked at him like trash, were now staring. Their mouths were open, some were whispering, some were clapping. A little girl ran to him and hugged his leg. God has blessed you, Uncle Khan, she shouted. Tears rolled down his cheeks. He looked up at the sky. God, is this real? He whispered. The man in the suit smiled. It's real. Now please, let's go. Okan entered the car, still shaking. The seats were soft. The smell inside was sweet. He had never been in a car this fine before. As the car drove off, he looked out the window, waving at the children who shouted his name. Inside the car, he turned to the man. Will I see him again? The boy I gave the $1 to? The man smiled and nodded. Yes, he wants to see you tomorrow. Okan held the envelope tightly and leaned back in the seat. His belly was still empty. But his heart was full. He closed his eyes, and just as sleep was coming, the car made a sudden turn, then stopped. Okan opened his eyes fast. The man beside him answered a phone call. His face suddenly changed. Sir, there's a problem, he said. Big problem. Okan sat up. What is it? The man turned slowly. My boss, Daniel, he's missing. Okan's heart skipped a beat. Missing? Yes, the man said. Nobody has seen him since he left the office. His phone is off. His car is still in the comm. The security camera caught him walking out on foot. And after that, nothing. Okan's eyes widened. What do you mean, nothing? I mean, it's like he disappeared. Okan gripped the edge of his seat. The money in his hand suddenly felt heavy. What if something had happened to Daniel? What if someone had taken him? Why did he disappear just after showing kindness? His head was spinning. The man in the suit dialed another number. His voice was tense. Okan whispered to himself again, God, please, let that boy be safe. Then he looked out the window, eyes searching the street. But deep in his heart, he knew something was very wrong. The car was quiet, too quiet. Okan sat still, his fingers tight around the envelope of money, but his eyes no longer saw it. His heart was far away, with the boy who had vanished. Daniel, the same young man who sat beside him on the ground and begged for food like any poor person, the same boy he gave his last $1 to. Now he was gone. Sir, Okan said softly, are you sure he didn't just go home? The man in the suit, his name was Mr. Tega, shook his head. No. He doesn't just disappear. He's never done this before. Something is wrong. They drove straight to the company's head office. It was a tall building with glass walls and shiny floors. Everybody inside looked rich and busy. Okan had never stepped into a place like that before. But today everyone was talking about only one thing. Daniel was missing. One woman said, he told me he was stepping out to buy suya, but he never came back. Another man added, security cameras saw him walk out of the gate, barefoot, no driver. No phone. Nothing. He gave me his wristwatch before leaving, a cleaner whispered. Said he didn't need it anymore. Okan frowned. Why would he give away his watch? Mr. Tega turned to him. Sir, did he say anything strange when you met him? Did he look worried or scared? Okan shook his head slowly. No, he was just hungry, tired. But his eyes, I remember now, he looked sad, like he was carrying something heavy inside. They all sat in the office quietly, thinking. Suddenly, Okan stood up. Take me back to where I met him. What? Tega asked. Please, take me back to the bus stop. Maybe we'll find something. Mr. Tega looked at the other workers, then nodded. Let's go. Back at the bus stop, the sun was almost gone. The sky had turned orange and purple. A few street boys were playing nearby. Some people were already closing their shops. Okan walked slowly to the exact spot he sat that day, right under the mango tree. He looked around. He was sitting right here, he said. He was crying. He looked tired. I gave him the $1 here. One of the boys playing football came closer. You're the man who helped the crying boy, Abby? Okan turned quickly. Yes, you saw him? The boy nodded. Yes, I saw him. After you gave him something, he sat here for long. Then a black car came. He talked to the driver through the window, then entered the car. Mr. Tega stepped forward. What kind of car? Black Jeep. The number plate had the letter M in it. I remember because my name is Musa. Okan's heart began to beat faster. Do you know where the car went? No, sir, the boy said. But after they drove off, another man came and picked something from the ground. I think it was a phone. Okan and Tega looked at each other. A phone? Tega asked. Yes, the boy pointed to the side of the road. He bent down here, then he walked away fast. Tega rushed to the spot. It was dirty, filled with wrappers and stones, but something shiny caught his eye under a plastic bag. He picked it up. It was a bracelet. He cleaned it slowly. On the back, something was written, "Daniel, let your light shine," Okan gasped. "That's his!" Mr. Tega stared at the bracelet, then looked down the road. "I don't think Daniel left by himself," he said quietly. "Someone took him." "Why?" Okan asked. Tega's face turned dark. "Because he's worth millions, and not everyone likes that he helps poor people. Some people see him as a threat." Okan stepped back. "You mean someone may have kidnapped him?" Tega didn't answer, but his silence said it all. Okan's head was spinning. How did a simple act of kindness turn into something this big? Just then, a message came to Tega's phone. He looked at it. His eyes widened. He turned the screen to Okan. It was a video. In it, Daniel was tied to a chair. His face had bruises. He looked weak. A voice in the background shouted, "Tell them what you did." Daniel raised his head and whispered, "Please, don't hurt anyone else. I'll tell them everything." The video ended. Okan's knees gave way and he sank to the ground. Mr. Tega stood frozen. "What is he talking about?" Okan asked. "What does he mean by everything?" Tega didn't answer. His face had gone pale. Okan looked up. "Please, tell me, what is going on?" Mr. Tega whispered, "There's something we didn't tell you about Daniel, something only a few people know." Okan stared at him. "What?" Tega turned to him slowly. "Daniel is not just rich, he was also born into a very powerful and dangerous family." Okan's mouth dropped open. Okan's mouth was wide open. He had given his last dollar to a stranger. That stranger turned out to be a millionaire. And now he was missing, tied up, hurt, begging in a video. And what did Mr. Tega just say? Daniel was born into a very powerful and dangerous family. Okan grabbed Tega's shirt. "What do you mean? What kind of family?" Tega looked around to be sure no one was listening. Then he spoke in a low voice. "Daniel's father is Chief Maxwell Edom, one of the richest and most feared men in the country, a man who built his fortune from oil, politics, and secrets. Very dark secrets." Okan's eyes widened. "Why haven't I heard of him?" "Because Chief Maxwell hides in the shadows," Tega said. "He doesn't show his face. He controls everything from behind the scenes. Even presidents fear him." "And Daniel is his son?" Okan asked, shocked. Tega nodded slowly. "His only son." Okan shook his head. "But why would the son of a powerful man dress like a beggar? Why sit beside me, hungry and tired? Why cry like someone with no hope?" Tega sighed deeply. "Because Daniel ran away." Daniel sat in the family mansion, his face cold and his heart heavy. His father, Chief Maxwell, had just returned from a meeting with politicians. "You must stop wasting time with poor people," Chief Maxwell shouted. Daniel stood tall. "They are not a waste of time. They are human beings, just like us." Chief Maxwell slammed the table. "You will never understand. I didn't build this empire for you to feed beggars. You are embarrassing me." Daniel looked his father straight in the eye. "Then I don't want your empire." "You what?" "I'm leaving." The old man laughed. A deep, cruel laugh. "Leave? You can't survive one day without my money." Daniel picked up a small bag. "I'd rather be broke and free than rich and chained." He walked out of the mansion that night, leaving behind billions, cars, and guards, and for the first time in his life, Daniel felt something he had never felt before. Peace. Back to the present. Okan stood still, speechless. "So he ran away from all that, just to live among people like us?" Tega nodded. "Yes. He told me that the day he met you, he was close to giving up. He had nothing left, not money, not strength, but then you gave him your last dollar." Okan smiled faintly. "That was all I had." "And that was all he needed," Tega replied. "That small act of kindness gave him hope. It reminded him that good people still exist." Okan's eyes watered, but then he remembered the video. Daniel was in danger. He looked at Tega. "So who sent that video?" Tega's face turned serious. "I don't know yet, but it's someone who wants to break him. Someone who wants him to give up something very important." "Like what?" Okan asked. Tega looked around, then whispered, "The password." Okan blinked. "Password? To what?" "To a secret account." An account with enough money to shake this country. Okon's mouth dropped. Daniel's mother opened it before she died. She hid the password in a code. Only Daniel knows how to break it, and many powerful people have been looking for that code for years. Okon's legs felt weak. He held the car door for balance. Tega continued. They want Daniel to tell them the password, but he's refusing. Even while tied up? Yes, that's why they beat him. That's why they made the video. Okon stepped back. He had never imagined that giving someone a single dollar could drag him into such a deep story. Just then, Tega's phone rang again. A different number. He answered. A deep voice spoke from the other side. If you want to see Daniel again, tell Okon to come alone. Tonight. No police. Tega froze. Who is this? The voice laughed. Just do what I said, or Daniel dies. Click. The call ended. Tega looked at Okon. They want you. Me? Yes. Only you. They know who you are. They know you helped him. Okon's throat was dry. So what do we do now? Tega gave him a small phone and a watch. We'll track you, but you must go alone. Pretend to follow their orders. Buy us time. Okon was scared. Very scared. But something inside him whispered, do it, for Daniel. He nodded slowly. Tell me where to go. Tega handed him a small note. A driver will drop you close to the warehouse. After that, you walk alone. Okon stared at the note. He was just a homeless man. He had nothing, not even shoes. But tonight, he would face men who had everything and risk it all to save the boy who once cried beside him. The night was cold. The streets were quiet. And Okon was walking alone, heading straight into danger. He had nothing but his courage, a phone in his pocket, and a watch with a tiny tracker hidden inside. He kept hearing Tega's voice in his head. They said no police, just you. We'll follow secretly and jump in when it's time. Be careful. Okon walked past broken fences and old buildings. Then he saw it, a large warehouse. Silent, dark, scary. He took a deep breath and walked closer. Suddenly, a voice barked, "Stop there!" 3 men stepped out from the shadows. Big men, armed. One grabbed him. You, Okon? He nodded slowly. They searched him, took the phones, but missed the tracker inside the watch. Then they dragged him into the warehouse. Inside the warehouse, the room was dim, smelled like blood and old fuel. And there, tied to a chair, bruised and bleeding, was Daniel. His face was swollen, his shirt torn. But when he saw Okon, his eyes lit up. Okon? He whispered. Okon tried to run to him, but they pushed him down. A man stepped forward, tall, bald, wearing a gold chain and dark shades. You have caused a lot of problems, old man, the man said. I just gave him money, Okon said, his voice shaking. Yes, the man laughed. And that dollar gave him strength, enough to run from us. Enough to hide the password. What password? Okon asked. The man smirked. Don't play dumb. Daniel's mother left behind something that can finish people like us, and now we need it. He turned to Daniel. This is your last chance. Talk, or we start with him. Daniel looked at Okon, then looked away. I'll never tell you. The man pulled out a knife and walked to Okon. Daniel shouted, Wait, I'll tell you. The room went quiet. The man smiled. Good, speak. Daniel coughed, weak and slow. The password is under the bridge. What under the bridge? The 3rd stone. My mother hid the code inside a metal box. The man paused, then signaled his men. Go, find it. The men rushed out. Then the boss turned to Daniel. You better not be lying. He raised the knife again. Boom! Suddenly the wall exploded. Smoke, screaming, running. Tega and his men rushed in. Get down, one of them shouted. The room became chaos. Bullets flew, fists clashed. Okon hit the floor and rolled away. Daniel tried to stand, but fell. Okon crawled and cut the rope tying Daniel's hands. Come on, he shouted. Daniel leaned on Okon, bleeding and weak, but smiling. They pushed through the chaos, and Tega's men covered them. The boss tried to run, but Tega caught him and knocked him out cold. The morning after, sirens. Police vans, reporters, lights. Daniel sat on a hospital bed, bandaged, but alive. Okon sat beside him, holding a cup of tea. You saved me, Daniel whispered. Okon smiled. You saved me first, that day beside the road. Daniel laughed softly. And to think, it all started with $1. Okon chuckled, then turned serious. What happens now? Daniel looked at the window. I'll use the account to help people. Real people. I've seen too much. It's time to do something right. And your father? Daniel shook his head. He'll be angry, but he'll know I'm not afraid of him anymore. Tega walked in. You two are heroes, he said. And Okon, we have a surprise for you. Okon raised his brow. Me? Tega smiled. Come. Final scene, 1 week later. A big hall, full of people, laughter, cameras, a charity launch. Daniel stood on stage. "Before we begin, I want you all to meet someone special," he said. He pointed. "Okan, please come up here." The crowd clapped as Okan walked up, confused. Daniel smiled. "This man gave me his last dollar. Today, I'm giving him a new life." He turned to Okan. "From this moment, you are no longer homeless. You have a house, a job, and more than enough money to start over." Tears rolled down Okan's face. "And that's not all," Daniel said. "You will help lead this foundation to find and lift others like us. Together, we'll change lives." The crowd stood and clapped louder. Okan held Daniel's hand tightly. "I was once forgotten," Okan said into the microphone, "but one small act of kindness changed everything." But in real life, kindness never ends.